Los Angeles, I'm and most Hollywood nights. She goes to California, oh, California.
What you say about Los Angeles?
LA got the people saying.
You're listening to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com. Welcome to Corner of the Galaxy, the show that talks 100% LA Galaxy soccer. We're glad you could join us. Now it's time to sit back and relax as your hosts navigate through the twisting, turning, but never boring world of the five-time MLS Cup champion, LA Galaxy.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com. I'm your host, Josh Guesman, coming to you on Thursday, August 5th. The LA Galaxy getting ready to close down this transfer window. We'll see exactly where the LA Galaxy fall with that. They added a player. We're going to talk about Joveljić here coming up in just a little bit. We're going to get you through the LA Galaxy's 1-0 win over RSL and why it was perhaps one of their better wins of the season. We'll maybe explain how that works. And we'll get you ready for the Vancouver game coming up on Sunday. A little payback is in order for the LA Galaxy. So a lot of stuff to get to, a lot of things to get through, and to help me do that, she's back. She's feeling better, which we're so excited about. It's Sophie, the Cannon Nicolaou. Sophie, how's it going?
I'm doing very well, Mr. Guesman. How are you?
I am outstanding. It is had been a ridiculously busy day, as both of us can attest to. Mm-hmm. I got swamped at work, like real work. And then the transfer world went crazy with Messi. Should I shut everybody down right now and tell everybody that whatever we talk about tonight has no relation to Leo Messi at all? He's not coming.
Don't break hearts. You've broken too many already, Josh. Just don't break any more hearts. I mean, what would you want to do? What would he? I'll go play for Phil Neville in Miami. I don't think so. I'll go to the 5-star winning team in Los Angeles where the glitz and the glamour and all the gorgeousness is.
I mean, it is a sexy destination. Let's be very honest. No Messi this time. That's okay.
He broke the internet today, didn't he? Really?
Man. I mean, the sports world came to a grinding stop today. So
yeah,
that was interesting. But as we often say, there is some good news. It's transfer window closing very, very soon. All right, I just wanted to play my fancy alarm. Does that work?
I love the fancy alarm. Tick tock, tick tock. How long is there left? Because, by the way, your alarm is alarming.
Yeah, it should. Yeah. It is. It's like water seeping into the submarine. You need to patch it up, or you're all going to sink down and die. That's what when I hear that sound, that's what I think of. I don't know about you.
Picturing Sean Connery and Alec Ball. Is it Crimson Tide?
Yes,
right.
No,
yes.
Not Crimson Tide. That one is Hunt for Red October.
That's Denzel Washington in Crimson Tide, right?
Great movie too. Both excellent. Except you do have to get over the fact that Sean Connery has, this Scottish accent and he's playing a Russian. I mean,
listen, let me tell you something. My name's Sean, and I'm not going to mess around here.
I am defecting as a Russian, but I have a Scottish accent. Sean Connery. No,
Josh. I looked after him on a film called The Rising Sun. It was very early in my career at Fox, and let me tell you something. Walking down the street in London with Sean Connery by your side, let me just say.
Sophie, why do we not? We need like a separate podcast where we just talk about the crazy, ridiculous situations that hey, so this one time I was walking down the street with Sean Connery. Can I tell everybody, though, that it's not like you tell me these stories off the air. We have not discussed this, and then you drop it to me as soon as we start doing this. It's not like you name drop. I see you all the time. You're not like, hey, remember that one time I walked down the street with Sean Connery? It's like you reveal it as a secret for something. I don't know. It just... I feel a little betrayed because I don't hear these stories, and then I hear these, and I'm like, now I want to know all about Sean Connery walking down the street with you. But we have soccer stuff to talk about too.
We do. do. I'll save it for another show. We'll do I actually watched Ghost with Sean Connery. It's a whole thing. I'll tell you all about it.
We're done here tonight, folks. We're good. We're good. We're just going to wrap it up. I have some very important things to talk to Sophie about, like when she watched Ghost with Sean Connery that one time. Because doesn't everybody have that story, Sophie? I mean, really, when you think about it.
I love that you appreciate it. It's awesome.
It's just, I mean, I've known you for a long time. We talk whenever we see each other at Galaxy games. We text all the time, too. You're one of the text people that we talk to. And like you just never would hear these stories. And so I feel like I need to hang out with you and drink so that way I can hear all these stories. That's really what I feel like. The next live show needs to be you drinking in front of a microphone so we can start hearing all these stories. So,
well, when I see you at the game this weekend, I have your gift, which involves drinking. So, you'll be covered.
Okay,
yeah.
Good. All right, we're actually good. All right, everybody's like, can you please start with the rumors first? Absolutely not. We will bury them in the middle of the show as we always do. Thank you very much. All right, Sophie, we missed you at the live show. I'm glad I missed
you guys. Listen, the amount of DMs I got and messages about the live show. Let me tell you. Firstly, Trader Joe's David, out of this world. The fact that he showed up and you sent me a pic and he sent me a pic. It was glorious. What a moment.
So
it finally happened.
So great.
Right?
Cutest dog in the world, too, by the way. He has the cutest dog. Just, I want you to know you miss puppy snuggles, too. So. Yeah.
Oh, man. But you had a great crowd. I mean, everyone was raving about it. Everyone is really, truly recognizing more and more so the work the Corner of the Galaxy does, and you guys smashed it, and I just was so bummed I couldn't be there, but I'm so happy everyone had a good time. It was such a great turnout, and you got some major players down there too, which was awesome. You got the Big Cheese down there.
He was there. He's currently working hard, by the way. I should tell you this. Dennis DeCloso was at our live show. I'm telling you right now, and I know this for a fact, Dennis DeCloso arrived early this morning, and he, as we are recording right now, is still working away, getting closer and closer to that Central Time 12 a.m. deadline. So it is 8:09 p.m. on the West Coast. So we get to go all the way up to, what is it? Not to 9, 10. 10 a.m. or 10 p.m. is whenever it is over here on the West Coast. So the transfer window will be closing. It'll be closing soon. And I'm just saying that if you thought the LA Galaxy were done whenever they were going after Joveljić, which got officially announced today, that is not the case. So the LA Galaxy is still working on something, and we'll see if maybe they can pull it off. We'll give you more updates on that as we go. All right. So let's talk about the RSL game a little bit. You and I were there. The Galaxy get a 1-0 win. We talked to Greg Vanney. We talked to Jonathan Bond afterwards. Bond gets his third shutout. The LA Galaxy just 2 points off of the Western Conference lead behind Sporting Kansas City and Seattle at the midway point. They reached their goal that they set, which was to be at 31 points roughly at this point in the season. So 17 games played, 17 games to go. They wanted to be at 31, which means it puts them at 62 points, which would be like top 2 or 3 in the Western Conference if you go back and sort of look at where those have fallen in recent years. Just before we even talk about RSL and that game, did you think the Galaxy would be here 2 points off the lead, having missed Chicharito for 7 or 8 games now? Yeah.
I'm going to be honest. I thought they would still be there or thereabouts, but I didn't think they'd be in this position. I spoke on the show a little while ago. If he's not playing, where are the goals coming from? And they did struggle with that without him early on. But somehow, some way, this team, which has been makeshift in some ways, has figured it out. And it's kind of incredible. It shows you the strength and mindset of the coach. I think you have to have a really good coach to be able to pull off those kinds of things. Losing players to the Gold Cup.
Right.
And, Chicharito was on fire. He was the nucleus of the squad. He really was finally the player that everyone believed he could be when he was signed. And then to lose him in the fashion that they did at the time that they did when he was so on fire, Josh, was really hard. So I really commend the work of the players, the squad overall. and Greg Vanney and his team for keeping them engaged, because there've been a couple of really major horrible hiccups, right? On the road. But bouncing back is so important in football, and showing that you can overcome adversity is. And I think, and I firmly believe, this team just has to get into the playoffs.
Right.
No one's going to want to face this team. And I know you're going to touch on it a little bit later in terms of the presser. But one of my points to Greg was like, it doesn't feel like you've even hit that major gear yet. And yes. I think LA Galaxy fans should be stoked right now.
Yeah, it feels that way, and certainly I think Greg Vanney thinks that. I think Jonathan Bond thought that as well.
Yeah, he did.
There hasn't been that, but here's this RSL game, right? So you still don't have Chicharito. You get Sebastian Lletget back. Jonathan Dos Santos, I believe, is down in Mexico City attending to things with his family, which we would expect him to be doing after his father passed away. There was Dennis certainly had talked at our live show about Jonathan Dos Santos coming right back. And it seems that maybe perhaps the clearer heads have prevailed a little bit, and they're giving Jonathan some room to go ahead and do that. That doesn't mean that I think he's going to be out for any prolonged period of time. In fact, I wouldn't even be surprised if he's back at training, today, tomorrow, that type of thing, possibly for a Sunday game as well. But I think he needed to go home and spend some time with his family after, of course, his father passes away. So you don't have Jonathan Dos Santos. You lose Ethan Zubak as well, who had been sort of starting in this striker position. So that way Cabral didn't have to play in the center. And Cabral has been, troublesome in the center. I'll talk about him in a little bit. But Ethan Zubak goes into the league's health and safety protocol. That is usually code word for COVID. At least right now, we don't know that, and they're not going to tell us that because them telling us about his health information would be a HIPAA violation, and it's not. If you get to talk to Ethan and he tells you about himself, it's not, right? So it's one of those things. But anyway, he was not there and not available, and I think some people were perfectly fine with that. That's fine too. But so the LA Galaxy lined up, I would say, in a familiar sort of situation, but there's some key differences here. One, you get Cabral at the center of the formation again, which I think everybody sort of expected. He's had some troubles there. We can talk about him a little bit. You get Grandsir on the left. You get Efrain Alvarez, who comes back after playing roughly 90 total minutes for Mexico over the course of his time with the Mexican national team, and he plays in on that right wing. Sacha Kljestan plays into the center. You had Raveloson and Saldana playing in the center. Villafana, Williams, Koulibaly, and Araujo. Now, here's the big thing is, Sophie, this is the first time since the LA Galaxy have started playing this year that Derek Williams and Sega Koulibaly got to start next to each other. This is the first time that pairing has been in play for the LA Galaxy, and we're halfway through the season. First time this has happened right now. Williams was out suspended, Sega got injured, and they sort of offset each other, so they were missing each other on that. So that was a big thing. I think Efrain Alvarez being included in this lineup, I thought was a little bit of a stretch. I was like, oh, okay, you want Efrain to play the wing, and I don't really think that's a great position for him. What else do I know? I get things wrong all the time. But whenever you see him come back from Mexico, you're like, well, what, is he going to prove something, or was he, getting lazy, at Mexico whenever he wasn't playing? You don't know what you're going to get with a lot of those guys when you don't get minutes and you're gone for a month, and sort of how to come back in. And good golly, he was absolutely, I think he was the best player on the night. And that should be, that's high praise for somebody who I usually say can't find the game.
We were pretty hard on him a couple months ago, were we not? Do you remember that episode?
Yeah,
and it was warranted.
It was. Yeah,
because this is the Efrain that we want to see, and that we know is capable. And sometimes he's a bit tepid. He's a bit fearful. And I think because he's played, when you're that young, Josh, think about it, right? Yes. And you got Zlatan around you at one point. Then you've got Chicharito Hernandez around you. And you've got, it's intimidating somewhat. I don't care what anyone says. Some younger players handle it differently. Remember, we compared him a little bit to Juan and Araujo, and some other younger players too. And it just feels like his personality is a little bit different. But my goodness, if he can be this player, it's like having a new player on the team.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about the LA Galaxy start in this game, Sophie, and I would say that they started off slow. It was this real sort of slow burn. You know what it was? It was a midweek game in Major League Soccer. That's what we saw, right?
Yeah, that's what it felt like too.
Yeah, and so it was sort of this slow burn. Let's not waste any more energy than we possibly need to, and let's make sure we're solidly defensive, right? So everything is back. Let's make sure we keep low blocks. Let's make sure that we're sort of in a position to defend first and then take advantage of the chances we have. The only problem is that through the first 45 minutes for both RSL and the LA Galaxy, neither team could really get anything going, and it looked, very sort of stop and start. The one guy who was opening up space with passes, the one guy who was sort of threading in balls in spaces that was eventually going to open up plays was Efrain Alvarez. He switched the point of attack multiple times in the first half. He was sort of building into that. Greg Vanney even talked about him afterwards and said, I thought Efrain was one of the few players who was playing up to the speed that I wanted to play. He goes, and that's great to see. That's what you want to see. And so, you can go through, we could actually spend time breaking down the first half because it's kind of interesting just in terms of how the Galaxy set themselves up, how they were very much more of a low block team, right? They're making sure that people aren't getting in behind. They're stopping any counterattacks. It was, between Raveloson and Saldana. I thought Saldana actually had a pretty good game too.
I thought it was his best game so far.
So and he's prone to big mistakes, and I think he limited that to maybe one little half mistake, that type of thing. But I thought he was assertive. He was able to turn out of pressure a lot. So I like seeing, again, we've seen the injuries and we've seen the absences and what it's done to this team, and there were some growing pains during that road trip, certainly, where you saw that maybe some of these guys were in a little over their head. That should pay dividends as we move forward down, right? Because these guys now have experience, so.
Yeah, but what I loved about Jonathan's response in the presser last night was because I asked him the same question I asked the coach, but then added the caveat of the dressing room, you guys, what's the vibe, the togetherness, and it. Jonathan's a very honest person. He's in his interviews, I think, a bit like Sebastian and also Sacha. He gives it to you straight. And you can tell, Josh, that this team has kind of gotten together and they're sticking together and they're not pointing fingers at each other and they're not blaming anyone. And it feels like that's the difference with LA Galaxy in this era, in this time under this manager. They're a one unit. They win and lose together as a team. And kind of hearing him speak about the squad in that manner, I thought that was really a great thing too, because that road trip was so rough. And the fact that they've all kind of stuck together and they've got this really good bond, I think is only going to get stronger as the season goes on.
Yeah, Larry and I were laughing. It's a bond. The Bond, talking about Bond, right? We were saying that thing.
At some point, he's gonna have. Well, there's gonna have to be a Bond campaign, right? With the down, 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 down.
They need to do they need to go full James Bond with him, and I'm waiting for. I know that I think there's some Bond girls T-shirts out there, but I want the Bond Girls for Guys T-shirt whenever that comes out. I'm I'm
all in on this.
Yeah, I would wear one.
I'd have him in the tuxedo and the whole thing, but then when he turns to shoot, he's wearing his gloves.
Oh wow! I think we're just writing content for the LA Galaxy right now. They should probably they should pay us.
You're in with DTS now. You guys are besties.
Dennis is a cool dude. In terms of, I just somebody says he's very Dutch, right? He's just very forthcoming. He's just
mean?
he's like one. I said well, the Dutch are sort of are like the accountants of Europe, right? They're sort of they're very straight. This is how many numbers we have. This is where we're at. This is it. There's no sugarcoating. He's not going to make you feel better about it, right? It's just he's going to lay it all out in front of you. And I feel like that's Dennis, and sort of how he does it. But I think he loves the details, but he's afraid other people don't love the details. And at our live show, he started talking about details, and everybody got on the edge of their seat, and then he pulled back a little bit, and everybody's like, no, keep going. And so no, it's fun because we talked to Greg Vanney, who I think is a very straight shooter. He tells us everything that we sort of.
I like him a lot.
Yeah, the whole stuff. So I feel like he's really honest. I think Dennis DeCloso is very honest with stuff. I don't feel like my legs being pulled. I don't feel like people are trying to pull the wool over my eyes. I can listen and sort of say, yes, that sounds like the truth, at least the way that I can see it. And then you have players. You have Sacha Kljestan. You have Jonathan Bond. You have Sebastian Lletget. You have these guys, and they're out there.
And Chicha too. He wears his heart on his sleeve.
Yeah, it really is. You have all these guys who are very honest, and I think that has to be part of the culture that Greg Vanney's building. Is that we're not going to sit here and sugarcoat it. Hey, you had a good game. It's okay. It's like, no, you played like crap, and you need to do better. And this is how we're going to do it. Watch, we're going to fix this.
Do you know what, Josh? I'm actually always really proud of the questions that are asked, mostly in our post-game pressers. Like it's truly people who follow or have followed the squad for a very long time. And even some of the newer people that come in, they kind of touch on that vibe. But I would say to any fan listening on this show, the majority of people that have been covering this team for a while, they don't sugarcoat it, Right. And I appreciate the fact that the LA Galaxy PR team, but also the players, they're willing to embrace those questions.
Right.
And I think that's a really, really healthy thing. I really do.
Yeah, I agree. I think so. And I think that, it's funny, the Zoom calls, I think it's actually allowed the players to get to know us a little bit better because I think we're doing it all the time. And I normally can't be at the stadium, so it's a real plus for me. So
right.
In some ways that's better than going, and then some ways it's not, and we can argue about how that goes. Let me get some housekeeping out of the way. Brian sent us a $5 super chat saying the LA Galaxy will definitely sign his 6-year-old son Sebastian. So we'll see if that ends up happening. Thanks for the super chat. We'll send a note over to Dennis DeClosa about that. DTK is on the case. He will be at your door soon. And then Six sent us a $10 super chat. So we appreciate that as well. So
are we getting 10% or 15% for the kid that we're gonna we're
gonna sell off? Yeah, I think 15% for us.
Okay, 15. Yeah,
we're doing a lot of the heavy lifting here. We're connecting dots and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. And when we look at this, Greg Vanney said it whenever I asked him the question, and I agree. He goes, "We played good enough to win, and that's about it." Right? I mean, that was it. We played good enough to win, and that was the exact amount of effort that we put into it. This is why I think that's so important, Sophie. It's midweek. You're playing a team like RSL, who's a difficult team to beat. They always are. And you don't have a full bench. You don't have a full roster. You have these things that are going to affect you throughout the rest of August, really, in a bunch of different ways. And you go out there and you're able to put in this reminds me of me in school, just the right amount of effort to pass. Right, just enough effort. Not even 1 minute more did they put in the effort to do, but just amount. And I think that that's a skill that is learned in soccer, and it's super, super important. I don't know how you think of that.
Yeah, I completely agree. This is why last night I said to Vanney, this is a professional win. And you said it at the top of the show. It felt like a midweek game. Let's just get out of here with a result. It doesn't have to be flashy. It doesn't have to be beautiful tonight. We don't have to play sexy football. We just have to get out with 3 points. And that's exactly what they did. And they soaked up that pressure towards the end because towards the end, I was a little bit worried. I'm thinking, okay, here they come. Real Salt Lake are piling on the pressure.
Right.
But they soaked it up really well. They were very mature. It was very professional. You continually see the emergence of Juan Araujo. I mean, Araujo is just a very special player, and he's becoming a leader. And, the pairing that you talked about first time, look what that can mean for the team. Look how protected and more protected Jonathan Bond is with those two in front of him. A makeshift midfield right now because you don't even have really your starters. But I have to commend Sacha Kljestan has got a lot of mileage on that clock, on that football clock. And he has been through this process many times with different teams. And to have him and his experience in this time, especially when the starting 11 isn't the true starting 11, I think is really important. Yeah. And some people wrote Sacha off, for a while that he couldn't, and he's not going to play every game. He can't play every game. He's at that point in his career. Everyone wants to see Cabral get a goal, and I know you're going to get to him, but Grandsir, I think, is evolving. He really is truly kind of finding his feet in the team. And then when you see an Efrain, who many of us have been frustrated with, time and time again, actually this season feels like, is Vanney getting to him? Is he inside his head? Is the time with the Mexico team helping too, with Tata Martino? There seems to be an evolution, Josh.
Yes. And quite honestly, everything that Vanny does right now seems to be paying dividends, like quickly, right? It's something. It's not something that we're sitting here like waiting to see. We're actually seeing it, and we're almost seeing it in like real time as it goes. So, I mean, for me, I don't know what more. I mean, you're 17 games through the season. You have 17 games to go. The LA Galaxy, as we said, are just 2 points off of first place. They have one of the top 4 offenses. Remember whenever Chicharito went down and everybody was like, who's going to score goals? They have
I was one of those people.
Yes, absolutely. Me too. And you should have asked the question. Everybody should have, right? The LA Galaxy have continued to score during that. I know not always in every way that people want. Have one of the top 4 offenses in Major League Soccer. Now, the defense is where they've been having problems. You put Sega, you put Williams back there. Vanny goes to a 5-man back line deep in that game as well. Brings Steres on. I think that Vanny is definitely going to give Sega and Williams a chance to develop chemistry together, and I think that moves Dan Steres to the bench. However, if you're Dan Steres, you better be ready because he's going to be putting you in at the end of games that you're winning all the time, and he may rotate those guys. And I wouldn't be surprised if he goes in and starts a game with a 3-man back line in one of these games and says, "We're going to try something different. We're going to throw a wrinkle into this and sort of bring the game to people." So I love that.
He's so smart, right? Because GBS was so stuck in his ways.
Yes.
It was very formulaic and it wasn't adaptable, and it's not saying that he's not a good coach. He just wasn't adaptable. And in this league, you've got to have that chip. You've got to know. And I think it's more so not just only in this league, but with football, your opponent. And Vanny plays to the opponent.
Yes.
He doesn't try and put square. He's done it every now and again, and that's fine because I accept that he's trying to discover part of what this team is about and who ticks with who, right? So I understand him putting some square pegs in round holes earlier on in the season. But as this season is evolving, I love how he adapts the team to the game, to the opponent, versus here's my squad, here's my tactics, here's what I want to do.
Yeah.
And that's a really important trait to have as a manager, because the difference too, Josh, is difference to GBS. This team has bought into what Vanny's selling.
100%, right? There's no doubt. You hear it when you talk to them.
Yep.
They say all the same things. They have, and we talked about it, I think last time Larry was on the show, maybe it was even Monday, but they say play like brothers, right? And that's like, if GBS says play like brothers and they're not bought in, that ends up being corny and stupid, right? But when you buy in, when you're like, yes, this is my family, and we're fighting for it. I mean, Jonathan Bond said, he was talking about the point total. He goes, it's ambitious. The guys didn't really even know each other, and they're saying you're going to get like 62 points. Like good for reaching for a goal. Vanny was saying that good for reaching for a goal, but at the same time. It's like, it's right there. By the way, the chat room is asking us for an update on Chicharito in terms of things. I can tell you what we know from our last press conference, which was on Monday. And basically, Vanny admitted that there was a setback with Chicharito and there was a setback to his injury. And that basically they had to go in and just double check. They had to slow things down because there was putting some strain. There's some scar tissue apparently in this calf strain that he has. And that scar tissue was inflaming and it was causing problems. And basically, there was an edema, right? So some fluid actually building up within the calf itself, and so they had to put pause on it. They had to say, "Stop. We have to take a step back." So that and I asked him because we've been hearing, "Oh, he's close, but yet you go in and you're not there. You're not progressing to the next step the whole time. And so I was asking him, like, is this just normal? Are we just going really slow, or has there been a setback? And he's like, yeah, you could call it a setback. So there is something there. All the conspiracy theorists who are out there saying that he's really not injured, you can go take a long walk off a short pier.
What? Is that really happening?
Oh my God. Well, there's some home trouble there. We know that his wife filed for divorce. We know that, all these things are happening. And so, people want to sort of put it there. Listen, as somebody who has been divorced and then worked through that divorce in terms of I was working at a job trying to do stuff. Actually, I was still doing podcasts and everything too. You guys never even noticed because, I would not cry on air. But trying to work through stuff. One of the most stressful times of my life, absolutely bar none. It mentally, I was shot. There was the mental health section portion.
It's like death.
It's like death. It was horrible, right? Yeah. And so if he's going through that, that's one thing. But I'm telling you right now, he's injured. All right, and and I can guarantee he wants to get back out on the field. I know people, but the guy's scoring, goals by the buckets. He doesn't want to sit on the bench and not score goals by the buckets. So I really think that he's coming. Now, having said all that, if you want me to read the tea leaves on when I think Chicharito's coming back, it's not this Sunday. I don't feel like that's in the cards. So.
I don't think it's until the end of the month.
You think it's all going to be all the way until August, so he would have missed basically all of July and all of August?
I think that, you know what? Just have him ready for the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
There's no reason to rush him. The team is figuring out a way to win without him, okay?
Right. Yes.
So there's no reason to rush him, because you rush him, he's of an age, and it's not that he's old, but he's of an age where, triggering something again can happen when you don't allow the time for the injury to really heal and the rehab to work, right?
Yep.
So there's no reason to rush him right now. There isn't, especially with, the news from today as well.
With Joveljić in there as well. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, and listen, that he's supposed to play in the All-Star game coming up.
He's not going to play in that.
I would hope he doesn't, just because who wants to play in the All-Star game? I don't want anybody to play in the All-Star game. I'm always like, this is stupid and don't do it. Now, having said that, they had a video of him with his family telling him he was
cute.
in the All-Star game. They had Julian Araujo, who also made the All-Star game. They had a video of him, and I got little, again, chopping onions. The LA Galaxy have been chopping a lot of onions lately, making me tear up with all those onions. When you see that and just sort of the joy that it comes with this, the All-Star game means something to them, and I understand that. And I never want to hold that back from a player, right? I never want to not send a player to an All-Star game because I think they're stupid. But at the same time, I think
it's recognition, it's Josh, right? In your, when you get Employee of the Month or your Salesperson of the Month or whatever it is, it's recognition. At the end of the day, everyone needs a little bit of recognition in their life for what they do, and it's I agree with you. I don't understand, I think the home run derby in Major League Baseball's fun.
Yeah, that's fun.
That's fun.
Yes.
But the skills thing in MLS, the NFL Hall of Fame, the game, I mean, it's just a way to recognize players and also make a little extra money for the league and everyone.
Yeah, Brian asked a good question. Do you think the LA Galaxy are better off without Chicharito? And I will say absolutely 100% no. That doesn't even cross my mind. He is better. The LA Galaxy are a better team when he's on the field, 100%. No question in my mind.
Listen, he's going to come back at a time where, once again, it's a cliche, but it's going to feel like having a new signing. Because his absence, you feel his absence because he's that type of player.
Well, and he's forcing Cabral into a position that's not his, right? So that center position, or he's forcing Ethan Zubak to start when Zubak, I love him, he's not a starter.
Right.
And
it's not fair of Cabral either, because I know he's getting a lot of stick right now and stuff like that, but the dude just needs a goal because his play is decent. It's getting better.
That's the thing. Let's talk about it, though, because this is super, super important. And I really want to get this because I see people saying, oh, he needs to be benched. First of all, no. Do not set him on the bench. That will ruin him. Let him play this out. He is getting more and more comfortable every single game. The game that he played against RSL was one of his best games. Movement-wise, he stayed on side. Thank you, God. Somebody who stayed on side. He put himself in all the right positions. His run that Efrain hit him on in that sort of diagonal where the ball got caught up underneath his feet a little bit, and he was trying to get it out to take the shot off, and then the shot was, it was a good save by McMath, but it was also like one of those, again, where you're like, dude, just place it in the corner. Like, you're almost there. And none of that worries me. I see the progression. It's like Grandsir, right? How many people wanted to get rid of Sam Grandsir after like 5 games? And you're like, do you not see the progression that's happening here? Do you not see the steps that are happening? Greg Vanney said he doesn't expect, Kevin Cabral to come in and score 10 goals. That's not why they got him in terms of this year. This is a development project. They are going to work with him, and they are hoping that Greg Vanney can add value to him. And then eventually, in 2 or 3 years, after Kevin Cabral tears Major League Soccer apart, they sell him and make a boatload of money and go find another development project.
Those 2 players are going to make LA Galaxy a lot of money one day. I truly believe it. Right?
It's great.
And Grandsir's maybe evolving quicker.
Yes.
But
He's older too, though.
he's older, right?
Yeah.
But Cabral, right? You got to look at it from this perspective. I think also the difference I saw in RSL, and the one thing that I've been complaining about with him, not complaining but pointing out, is his second touch.
Yes.
His first touch has always been very, very good, but it's what he does with the second and third touch that has been really disappointing. And I thought that he had one of his best games as well.
Right.
Positionally, he's much more astute. He's becoming a little bit more cognizant and aware of his teammates and how to interact and make his runs when he's supposed to, Josh.
Right.
And I just think that the only thing once he scores a goal, he will get 10 goals.
Yeah, I mean, he's that he has a goal. Remember, he has scored one. All right.
He scored one, but
he needs that next one, and he needs to feel comfortable
in his position. Those wide players or the midfield, they need to get more goals. We've talked about this before, right? It's important that happens. But once he kind of gets on a roll, I think he will be, I think he'll be the player that everyone wanted to see. But I think it's unfair to jump on him right now.
Yes.
That's my
it's not unfair. Listen, I get people being upset that he's missed some sitters. Absolutely. I mean, he's also put some in the back of the net. They just happen to be offside, as somebody in the chat room pointed out. The other thing is, I think the LA Galaxy are now like at goal number 5 and 6 that have been called back because of being offside. And hey, you got the benefit of the doubt on Alvarez's Efrain Alvarez's goal, which I thought was a great give and go with Sacha Kljestan. I thought the development of that in the second half was so good. That's what you want to see from these guys. That's what you want to see developing. And again, you talk about Sacha Kljestan, a guy who's put a lot of miles on legs. Even this year so far, he's put a lot of miles on those legs. And who was the guy who was in there playing give and goes with Efra? It was Sacha Kljestan.
Yeah.
Captain.
And he talked after the game too about how he felt it was Efrain's best match.
Oh, he talked to Nikki, didn't he? On
talk
Spectrum?
to Nikki. I mean, we were waiting. I'm just saying, Sacha.
He was in the shower apparently. There's a whole bunch of fun news actually that came out. So I don't know if people, and it's not even like an official thing, but I do a lot of coordinating with the Galaxy on who we want to talk to afterwards, right? Mm-hmm. And so I talk to the reporters, and usually it's like Damien, and because I always go to the big outlet. So if Kevin's there and Damien's there, they sort of get to choose who we play with or who we talk to, and then I do my best to work with the Galaxy to get him. And so I'm like, okay, we need Efra because game-winning goal. Come on, that kid needs to talk, right? And the whole deal. And they're like, okay, no problem. And so they go, and we're working on it. And I got a message back, and they're like, so problem with Efra. And I'm like, what? What's the deal? So he got braces put on today, and they're really sore, and they're really hurting his teeth, and he doesn't want to talk. Like, he can't talk to the media right now because his teeth are all hurting. And I'm like, is this a prank? This feels like a prank. Like, this can't be a reason that happened. But I thought that was really funny. And then having had braces, I can tell you that is like a type of ache and pain that you never want to. The first time you put braces on and your teeth feel all mushy because they're like being moved and stretched and all this stuff. Oh, horrible feeling. So the kid was playing. He scores the game-winning goal. He goes, he doesn't go 90 minutes, but he played most of that game. And he goes in there and he did it the whole time while his mouth was hurting. All right. So I mean, come on, give Efrain Alvarez a little round of applause.
Let's give him a break too.
Right?
We've been hard on him. So, and listen, the teeth. If the feet and the teeth. Once those two things hurt, it goes right to the head. Oh. I mean, it's you feel it everywhere.
Oh, it's horrible. That's like one of the worst things that you can have. Just to give you some stats and some little things, if we look at the LA Galaxy's passing network, a little more jumbled than I think I would like. But you can see that Sacha Kljestan spent a lot of time being in an advanced position. You see that Kevin Cabral was a little bit underneath him sometimes. But I'll tell you, Cabral dropped deep a lot in this game, and I think that actually helped him. Normally, I'm not a big fan of that. But I think that actually helped him get in this game. I thought Cabral was more active than he has been in previous games, so I like seeing that. I thought Saldana was good. Joveljić was good. Every time I have to think of the 7 different ways we pronounced his name in order to say it correctly. I was talking with Mike Arajo before the game, and we were going over the different ways to say it. And he's like, no, don't say it anymore. I have to go say it out there, and I have to announce it. And I don't. How do we say it again? So yeah, it was good. Sebastian Lletget got some.
What is it then?
Joveljić.
It is Joveljić.
Yeah, it's Joveljić. Yeah. Well, apparently,
yeah.
I don't know. I'm not gonna. I mean, that's what he said to me whenever I asked him directly on a call. So we're going with that for now. But he smiled when he did it, so I don't know if I feel like I'm being pranked again. I think there's one giant I'm being punked. I'm expecting Ashton Kutcher to pop out anytime, and it's like, no, it's Revolution, you know. So I don't think that was good. But yeah, it was. I think overall, we talk about a professional win. That's what you expect from the LA Galaxy. That's what you expect at home, midweek. Get a win. Now that sets the LA Galaxy up, Sophie, to get 9 points in 8 days, right? This is the 1 week, get 9 points, which is what people were sort of looking at on the road. But when you're on the road, it's really tough to predict that you're going to get 9 points on the road. I think the Galaxy are in good spot. Again, 2 points off the Western Conference lead. Seattle drew. Sporting Kansas City smacked LAFC across the mouth.
That was a beatdown, huh?
It was. And you know what? I'm going to say something. If you try to co-op, Ted Lasso night, and you do it with, I think, a coach who is very anti-Ted Lasso, I think you deserve to get beat down in your own stadium, 4-1. I'm just gonna say, if you try to ruin Ted Lasso for everybody, that's what you're gonna get. So I think that's Ted Lasso karma coming around.
Josh,
yes.
Did you see the tweet from LA Galaxy? It was I tell you, if there's the greatest tweet of all time ever.
Yeah. Well, it was. I forget what they even
5
put out.
stars.
Yeah, 5 stars. It was Ted Lasso 5 stars.
Oh my
Yes.
God!
Yes.
I just thought, and as you know, like on the odd, I do cover LAFC for TalkSport or whenever they want me to and stuff like that. But I've got to say, in terms of they're always cheeky, but that response, that tweet this morning when I saw it, I just was like,
yep, absolutely. But that really, I mean, some people were saying, hey, the best result for that game is a draw. I think the best result for that game is exactly what happened. Sporting Kansas City moved up into first place. They're tied with Seattle, but above them right now. The LA Galaxy move into that third place spot, just 2 points back. When we look at really what that means for the standings and sort of how the LA Galaxy are placed, 1.82 points per game. Colorado just behind by 4 points. The LA Galaxy did a good job of separating there. Vancouver did not play this midweek, so they're actually coming in on Sunday rested, but the LA Galaxy have a lot of rest in between the Wednesday and the Sunday too. I don't think Greg Vanney is too worried about that either. So just in terms of the standings and where it sits right now, the LA Galaxy did a really good job. Another 3 points coming up on Sunday is pretty much a must as far as it looks in terms of keeping pace. The LA Galaxy are tied for the most wins in Major League Soccer with 10. The LA Galaxy have the most home wins. There's rules, Sophie.
Wow.
We know about these rules. The rule is you don't lose your home games. You win your home games, right? And you try to get points on the road. That's if you can make that your formula, you can have a good team. LA Galaxy 7-2-0 at home right now, 3-4-1 on the road. Those 3 wins on the road are really good too. I know it's not tops in terms of Kansas City has 5 wins away. I think New England has some stupid 5 games. They've won 5 games on the road as well. So those top upper teams, and New England at 37 points right now, running through I think a little bit weaker Western Conference. Bruce Arena has them purring, and they're 6-1-1 at home. Just some little things here and there that you see from the LA Galaxy. But as far as I'm concerned, Sophie, right now, if you're looking at this LA Galaxy team, you're looking at how they're started. You look at how they played RSL and a whole bunch of other things, right? There's some good things.
What's this chart about? I love this.
This chart is points through 17 games for every single LA Galaxy season. So you can compare this to every previous LA Galaxy season. And so what we have right now at 31 points in 2021, they were equal with the 2019 team. So remember, that team did not finish well, Sophie. So we know that you sort of have to be on guard from that, right? That's something we're going to have to watch as you continue to go on. But as we look at it, 1996 had a better season through 17 games. 1998 had a better season through 17 games so far. You have 2010 that had 39 points. We'll go modern era. So 2010 had 39 points. So they were 8 points better than the LA Galaxy are right now through 17 games. That was a very good year. 2011, a team that ended up winning the Supporters Shield and MLS Cup. They had 31 points through 17 games, the exact same amount as the LA Galaxy have right now. So technically speaking, right now, since 2010, this is the second best start through 17 games for the LA Galaxy. That's sort of where we're looking at that. And by the way, somebody and 6 in the chat room says, look at the goal differential though. Yes, +1. The LA Galaxy defense is the place that needs to be shored up more than anything else, but a shutout on Wednesday night was a step in the right direction there.
But also, if you're collecting 3 points or you're winning, I know the goal differential is important and stuff like that, but wins count, right?
Yes.
And that's a pretty impressive chart. Once again, Josh, just saying, I love your charts. You know me and your charts. Salute.
I think it sounds better whenever you say that you love my charts with an English accent than it does whenever Larry says, like, I love your charts with just his boring old American accent. I'd just like to point that out.
I love your charts.
Yes. So much better.
But that's a really fascinating stat as well, considering, think about the team and the talent in that 2011 squad.
Yes.
Compared to this one. And this one hasn't really...
They have not clicked.
Do you think Greg Vanney at any point so far this season has played his best 11?
No, we haven't seen it.
No,
I don't think they've played, their best game yet. I don't think that game has existed. I think the Sporting Kansas City game, a game that they lost at home, was actually one of their better games that they played. And I also think the LA Galaxy have been running through sort of the bottom of the Western Conference so far, and that there are tougher games ahead. But every time they come up against somebody who's close to them, relatively speaking, I haven't felt like they've been outmatched by anybody. I think Seattle was better.
Seattle.
Yeah, Seattle was better than them. I think Sporting Kansas City ended up being better than them that night. But I think overall, on the balance of that, perhaps the LA Galaxy had a good team there. I can't wait to see them play again, and it's going to be down the stretch against Sporting Kansas City. I think it's like in October or something like that. Last time I looked, so that'll be an interesting one to sort of look at. But it's one of those. It's one of these things. The defense needs to get better. Everybody knows that. Everybody's focused on that. These shutouts need to be more of a thing. Jonathan Bond deserves that to be more of a thing. And I think people started getting on him a little bit during the losing streak. And I'm like, if you let people take 1 million shots, they're going to put balls in the back of the net. And most of the time, I haven't been able to really blame Jonathan Bond for any of that stuff. So it was good. In the RSL game, he came up with some big saves. He made some big saves, and you're like, he's going to earn this shutout just as much as everybody else is going to earn it. So listen,
a goalkeeper's only as good as the people in front of him as well, you guys. I mean, it's like hockey. Eventually a hockey goalie's going to let in 2-3 goals. Yeah, it's just it's the nature of the beast. So I think in his first season, again, like, I understand people being upset, or having opinions about Cabral, and some people, early on about Grandsir. But I just think, just take a deep breath. I've learned this as an Arsenal fan, and it's very difficult to take a deep breath, but it's important, I think.
Yeah, this is, again, you can compare this team to 2019, and they have the same amount of points through 17 games as 2019. 2019 had Zlatan Ibrahimovic, right? 2019 had, a fairly good team that ended up making it to the playoffs, right? But at the same time, you never felt like they were as good as this team is now, and this team has not played their best 11 yet.
And that team was so reliant on Zlatan's goals. That was the problem. And Absolutely. This team is figuring out how not to be reliant on Chicha's goals.
Yes.
Which is very important.
So good. Whenever he comes back, I'm telling you, the LA Galaxy have something. Well, and, maybe he doesn't need to come back as fast as everybody thinks with the LA Galaxy making a signing. Now, this is something that we have been talking to everybody about for, I think, a couple weeks in terms of going after, and I believe how we're pronouncing his name is Dion or Dejan. No, Dion. I'm going to say Dion. The J is a Y, all right? Just remember that. The J's are Y's. So it's Dejan Joveljić.
So can we just call him DY?
DY. Yeah, I guess. No, it would be like DJ, right? You could call him DJ.
I was going to say DJ, but when you said the J's are Y's,
yeah, I know.
Didn't. Have you was there a flight tracker for this one? I may have missed it. I didn't.
So it leaked basically. I think the Galaxy front office leaked the actual flight that was coming in. So he landed at like 5 on Tuesday. Now he does not have his P1 visa. I'm sure he'll get his ITC, the International Transfer Certificate. I've been talking with people within the organization, and they are confident that this visa wait will not be as long as the other ones. I think what they're doing now that the borders are open a little bit more is I think they're going to have him like go to Mexico or go to Canada and do that whole thing where you go outside the country for a second and then you get your visa and you jump back inside the country, that type of thing. And so yes. I think that's what they're going for. I don't think he is going to I don't think you're going to find him playing Sunday. That seems too soon. So we're looking at next week after that. So not Sunday, but the next week, hopefully he'll be in training. But he was with the LA Galaxy. They got to do the whole put his kit on. He's number 99, by the way, Sophie. Number 99.
Is that because? Please don't tell me it's the year he was born.
No, it probably wasn't because of the year he was born. It's probably because he wanted number 9 because he's a striker, and Kevin Cabral has number 9. So that's what I'm guessing is the reason that he has 99, because Cabral already did. Which still means, by the way, the LA Galaxy have the number 10 shirt open, right? The number 10 shirt is not being utilized right now.
They're saving that for Messi.
Is that? Yeah, I'm sure.
Come on, get in.
Joveljić is really interesting. Apparently can play with both feet. He has scored a lot of goals in the other Bundesliga, the Austrian Bundesliga. He had 20 goals. He was on loan from Eintracht Frankfurt. The reports are that it was like a $4.1 or $4.5 million transfer fee, which actually puts him in like the top 5 of transfer fees of all time for the LA Galaxy, above, I think, Robbie Keane even, which is kind of funny to think about. He's a U22 player, which is a huge deal for the LA Galaxy. They were able to go ahead and sign 3 U22 players because Kevin Cabral is a young designated player as well. So you're getting, you get Cabral in there, and then you get Joveljić, you get Julian Araujo, and you get Efrain Alvarez, all as U22 players, which means their cap hits are like $200,000, right around $200,000, which is way less. And they spent like $4.5 million on a transfer fee, which normally would make you like a TAM or a designated player, right? So, and that's not the case. 4.5-year contract for him. So I think he's with the team through the 2025 season. This is a guy who they very much wanted. They went out and got, and now we have seen that he seems pretty stoked on being in Major League Soccer. Kevin Baxter got to talk to him. If you go to the LA Times, you can get some of the different quotes that they got out of that. But I think this is the LA Galaxy have known, and I had talked to people within the organization starting at the beginning of this year. They knew they needed a backup striker. They were just trying to find the guy that they wanted. This is the guy that they wanted. At one time was on the top 40 short list for the best young European player. So basically, I forget what it's like, the Golden Boy Award, I think is what it's called. Mm-hmm. And you have to be under 21 years old, and he was in that top 40 list as one of those players. So we'll see. He seems really excited. It's not like Kevin sort of asked him like, hey, do you want to eventually like go somewhere else, or are you using MLS to be a springboard? And he was like, whoa, slow your roll. That's not exactly what he said, but he was like, slow your roll. I want to be with the LA Galaxy right now, and that's why I'm here. And so he's saying all the right things. 21 years old, going to be 22 here pretty soon. But Joveljić should be, I think everybody's going to be really like him. He seems like he is one of these laser-focused guys who just wants to score goals. So give me a chance. Do
you know what he smacks of?
What?
Cult hero.
Man.
I don't know what it is. There's something about him, his vibe, his look, his feel. I mean, the way he's built. That neck, by the way, is all about business. That's going to be a header of the ball. I don't know if that's one of his best attributes. I'm not going to lie. I've heard of him. I've seen Fabrizio Romano talk about him.
Wait, excuse me, who?
Fabrizio Romano.
Fabrizio
Romano.
Yes.
But he has cult hero written all over him. There's something about this signing that I don't know why I'm so excited about it, right. But I think that he could be a rock star in this league.
Yeah, it certainly feels that way. And I just think, everybody's like, well, is he going to start? He's going to, I think Greg Vanney's...
Why wouldn't he?
Well, because, so let's say everybody's healthy. Let's play that mythical game for a second. Everybody's healthy. So you have 2 strikers. You can play with 2 strikers up top. Who's going to sit?
Well, can he play? Does he have, I don't know. Okay, so as I said, I'm always honest when I don't know too much. Can he play left or right? Is he...
He's more of a 9. He's more of a striker guy.
Of a 9,
I think you could play him with Chicha for sure. I think you could play 2 up front, right? But again, it shifts things. I think this is Greg Vanney getting as much option as he can out of all the players that he has. He has so many things he can do for. He can bring them in the second half. He can shift people around. Wait till you see the Swiss Army knife that Greg Vanney pulls out of his very tight pants on the sideline, all right, and tries to, he's going to open it up and be like, which of these 7 players can play in 13 different positions in 4 different formations?
I know we shouldn't be thinking of sell-on factor, but again, Grandsir, Cabral, and this guy.
Joveljić, yeah, absolutely.
You know, all future, they've got the future potential because of, the scouting and the reports about them and the talent that they have and stuff like that. But let's see, because again, Chicharito injury prone. So he's going to get his chances. There's no doubt about that. And you mentioned Robbie Keane. If he could have half the career at LA Galaxy that Robbie Keane had.
Right. Bam Dad's in the chat room, throughout the formation of 3-5-2, right? You could play a 3-5-2. Absolutely. You could play a 3-5-2. It pulls in somebody, like you have to sort of figure out what you're going to do with Julian Araujo and how you're going to sort of play him. Is he a winger? Is he a defender? Is it a 4-4-2 whenever you guys are defending? Does it shift up into, that 3-5-2? There's a whole bunch of little like things that you could do in that. Christian Miles was doing some research on Joveljić, and apparently
I love Christian.
Christian's great. Christian's going to be on this show a little bit more too, so everybody can put that in your pocket as well. He was doing some research, and apparently Joveljić is a very, very big chess player. Like at one point, he had a coach who was teaching him how to play chess. Like that's how much of a chess player he is.
Oh my God! You know what I love about that?
What?
Focus. And concentration.
Yes. Yes.
And if you're serious about chess and you're actually getting a coach to coach you in that, think about how his brain works.
I don't want to wait. Stop because it's too much.
Stop you.
It's too much. We don't want to do it. We don't want to go too much. What's that I hear? Is that the transfer? Is that the transfer rumor? Okay, well, we have an update here. Transfer rumor update. That was fun too. I like doing the like kitschy stuff. This is a good time. We have an update as well. Greg Vanney in I don't know if it was a post game or whether it was one of our pregame media things, whatever. They talked about the capacity, and Greg was very clear on this, the capacity to bring in 2 more players. And so everybody was sort of saying, okay, it looks like they're only going to bring in 1. And actually, it was my assumption this afternoon that the LA Galaxy were done after Joveljić. They're going to bring him in, call it a day. And the transfer window would be open. Still 1 hour to go here on the Western Conference as we're recording. It's about 9, and that transfer window stays open until 10 o'clock our time here on the West Coast.
Josh, it seems like they have a win now mentality. Like let's go for it now, but they're building for the future as well, knowing that they might be able to win now. Like
you can win now, and then they want to win next year, and then they want to win the year after that. Like it's like this is a team, and Greg Vanney talked about it in Toronto. His teams. It takes a while to understand what you need to do, right? How you need to play in the formations and all these different things, and so you need to pay attention to that whenever they're building these things. Is not only he's doing stuff now, and then as this team understands the way he wants to play even more, and he's going to have to replace pieces, right? Victor Vasquez, Sacha Kljestan are not going to be around here forever, so there's going to be pieces you're going to have to rotate and replace. But as he does this, he's expecting his team to get more and more tactically savvy, right, in the whole deal. So
totally,
we know that the LA Galaxy, as we speak right now, are still attempting to bring in 1 more player. All right, now earlier today, there seemed to be some doubt that they could get it done in time before the transfer window closed. I will say that doubt has turned to optimism here, and I wouldn't be surprised if something gets done tonight before that happens. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to hear about it tonight. We're live on a Thursday night. If you're going to hear something, it's going to happen on Friday morning. But as of right now, I would expect that when you wake up Friday morning and, but see, when do the press releases always come out? Like anywhere between 8:30 and noon usually, even though it's a Friday. After a transfer window, that usually breaks the Friday rule, which is you can still announce stuff because we're all sitting here waiting, to see what happens. But I wouldn't be surprised if there is an announcement tomorrow.
It's not, but don't make folks think that it's messy because
it's not. No. I mean, I don't think they're going out. I don't think this is going to be a big name. I don't think this is anything that's, crazy, as it is. I've heard rumors of sort of where this might be going, and I'm just going to leave it at that for now. I know some things, and so I will say if things happen and if things go well, and as I told you when we started this, Dennis Nicolaou working overtime today on the end of the transfer day. As
he's earning his crust. He's earning his crust.
He's doing his stuff, right?
What he's doing? He's building a team to challenge. Listen, I'm telling you right now, bank it. MLS Cup final will be Bruce Arena versus LA Galaxy.
Well, and let's not remember the other rumors that are out there that sort of started to float out, and it was Soccer by Ives. It was Ives who reported it. So, I mean, this is real, is that there are multiple teams interested in Sebastian Lletget as well. You get him playing for the U.S. men's national team.
What's happening with that, though? Would that bum you out?
Yes and no. I think he's super important to the LA Galaxy. So I think the dirty work that he does, and even against the RSL, the stuff that he did is super important. And so for that reason, I would like to see him stay. Plus, if you get rid of him, it better be a lot of money, because it's going to cost a lot of money to replace him with any sort of, quote unquote replacement. So that's sort of where
I wouldn't be doing that deal. I wouldn't be letting him go right now.
Okay.
I really.
The chat room, by the way, is asking me to give them a hint about what is going on over here.
I'm not saying anything.
Yeah. Let's go over the roster just real quick and look at the ages of people that are sort of playing. So Sacha Kljestan, Victor Vasquez, those are two guys who are going to age out. So if you wanted to get more backup in a position that's there, and then Jonathan Dos Santos as well, that might be a place that you would look to do. The only other place that I think the LA Galaxy could be thin would be, one is a right back, right? Because if you end up selling Julian Araujo, then you have O'Neal Fisher. I think O'Neal Fisher is great. I think he's a great backup, but I don't know that he's a starter. So that would be a position that maybe you might want to back up if you were adding one more piece. And if you're also looking at that back line, which I think has been rather solid, I think you also have to look at the left back position, because you have Jorge Villafana, you have Danilo Acosta. I like both of them. I think Jorge is great. There's a ton of miles on his legs so far this year, and you're going to need Danilo to play. And so if you trust that Danilo Acosta is the answer, then you're fine. And if you don't trust that, then there's a left back. Then you might need to look at like a left back replacement as well. So those are the things that you should look at. So midfield, right back, and left back.
But you're not saying a deal for Saber could happen in this window, are you?
Like in terms of somebody leaving or
like
somebody
now,
coming in,
like tonight,
now. Yes, I think I think if it happens tonight. I think the LA Galaxy said that they had capacity for 2, and they have 1, so they still have another one, and I know they're working on it.
But you're not talking about Lletget going in this window.
I don't think Lletget is going, and I don't think Araujo is going. I think that's those ships have
Araujo is going to go to Arsenal. I mean, we have that agreement, don't we?
That handshake agreement.
Next time you speak to Dennis, you're going to have to put in a word for me. Okay,
I'll do my best. Absolutely.
Okay, thanks.
Except that nobody, we all voted on COG, and nobody wanted to do that to Julian Araujo, is make him play for Arsenal. So that was the other thing. We love you.
We're coming back. We're coming back.
It's here we go. That's sort of where we're at. All right, let's get to just a real quick sort of look ahead to Sunday, because it's the Vancouver Whitecaps. Everybody knows that the last time the LA Galaxy played Vancouver in Salt Lake, they're now playing up at their home now in Vancouver again, so that has all happened. But this time it's at Dignity Health Sports Park. That game coming up on Sunday, August 8th. It's a 5 p.m. kickoff. Actually, it's a 5:08 p.m. kickoff exactly. Game's on Spectrum Sportsnet, and I believe Spectrum Deportes. So if you're looking for that game, actually it's usually on Spectrum now, and then they do an SAP function if you want it in Espanol. So you can look for that. Dignity Health Sports Park, 5 p.m. on Sunday. Should be a good, fun kickoff time. I like 5 p.m.s on Sundays. It's not horrible. I actually get home in a reasonable time. My wife is not happy because, of course, Jake doesn't go to bed till like 7, and then I have to be there 2 hours beforehand. So I'm going to be gone. Needless to say, I'll be doing a lot of chores later on Monday and Tuesday to make up for all that stuff. So I'm sure everybody was really worried about all of those things, right? Yeah.
Very.
LA Galaxy, whenever you look at the head-to-head with Vancouver, and do not trust these numbers at all. Why? Because they came from the MLS website, and the MLS website is generally trash. 14 LA Galaxy wins to 9 Vancouver wins, 6 draws in between. We know the LA Galaxy just lost to Vancouver on July 17th, but previous to that, they had beat them on, June 23rd. That was the game that was in quote-unquote Vancouver, and that was the one where Efrain Alvarez scored that late go-ahead goal from the edge of the box. So that one was there. And then previous to that, in 2020, Vancouver actually kicked the LA Galaxy's butt. So it looks like, if I'm looking at this, the last 3 games, they've all been away against Vancouver. And so now the LA Galaxy will actually host the Vancouver Whitecaps, who, Sophie, where do they sit in the Western Conference?
Dead last.
Clicked the wrong button. It was going to be so much fun. I was going to bring up the Western Conference. There it is. Dead last in the Western Conference over there on the 13th place. They have a total of 16 games played. They have 15 points, so they're averaging 0.94 points per game. They have just 3 wins on the season. One of those was against the LA Galaxy, as we will remember not too long ago. They have a goal differential of -9, and on the road so far this year, Sophie, they are 0-4-4, so they are winless on the road.
There are no excuses when it comes to this game, Josh.
Yeah,
none. This can't be one of those. Oh, it's a banana skin game. No, it's not a banana skin game. It's a game you have to win.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
That's honestly, that's all I have to say about this game. It's must win. That is it.
I mean, listen, I will, of course, put the caveat out that it is not must win because there's no reason that they have to win this game. However, if you're looking at this, it's a must win game. They have to get 3 points out of it. It's a bad team. They're coming into your house. You don't lose points at home, right? Greg Vanney knows this, and the LA Galaxy need this streak, right? Because after this, it gets just a little bit shakier in terms of like the schedule and where things are happening, and there's a lot of games in August, and while a lot of those, the majority of them are at home, going to Minnesota and having to play there is not something that you necessarily want to do, and that ends up being a tough game. So this is an important game. You get the 9 points, get the win over Portland, you get the win over RSL, and you get the win over Vancouver, and now you can go and do the other things that you need to do without worrying that you just got 9 points.
100%. You know, when you said it's not a must win, but it is, you get the 3 points. It is a must win because of all of those reasons. As the season progresses, there's going to be tougher games. You don't know about injuries. These are the games you have to win if you want to be in the playoffs. And if you want to have a go, I'm not saying that LA Galaxy will win the Supporters Shield, but if you want to win the Western Conference or be up there, you've got to win this game. It would be, I think, I'm not saying it's a disaster to lose this game, but it's the type of game, if you lose, you take 10 steps back when you've taken 10 steps forward. And that's the part of it. Like, they're on this trajectory. They're coming together. You know, they're on this streak. Like, make it happen. Win this. Bag the 3 points. And, you know, there's going to be tougher games coming down the road. So it's so important.
It absolutely is. When you look at the LA Galaxy and their schedule, remember we told you August was a favorable thing for them. This is a favorable month for them. They have, they played RSL at home. They played Vancouver at home. Then they're going to go on the road to Minnesota, which will be a difficult game. Then they're going to come home and they're going to host Colorado. Colorado's sitting just below the LA Galaxy, right? So that's going to be a difficult game. You play against San Jose, who just got a striker from Portland. So that might be a difficult game. Then there's the All-Star game. Then you go to at LAFC at Bank of California Stadium to play LAFC. So if you can win all your home games, and from here on out, and they already have 3 points from RSL, so there's an additional 9 points at home coming this year, including 3 points on Sunday against Vancouver. If you can get 9 more points out of that, right, that's a huge advantage for you. You win your home games, and this is absolutely one of those things where you win your home games. By the way, there's people still obsessed with Cabral over here, and I say turn the page. All right, turn the page, 100%.
Don't worry about Cabral.
He'll be just fine.
Yeah,
just fine. I'm not worried about him. I would like.
I'm not going to go hard on him yet.
Not yet. He gets a chance. I mean, we've watched Efrain Alvarez struggle to play at a Major League Soccer level for years. Yeah. All right, so I mean that you're in that same. He's got a 5-year contract. He's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
so I'm not worried. In fact, if you want to know who I rate to score against Vancouver, it would be Cabral. Cabral's going to score goals against Vancouver, and I don't expect Chicharito back. I don't think Victor Vasquez is going to be back. So you're going to look at a similar lineup that you had. Possibly Jonathan Dos Santos returns and can play some minutes off the bench. Possibly. That's not even confirmed yet. So I think we have a presser on Friday. Is that tomorrow? Tomorrow, I think we have a call.
Tomorrow, yeah.
Yeah, so there's going to be a call that we can certainly do. So, all right. Anything else that you want to get to? I mean, I feel like we covered a lot of ground. It's 9:10.
Yes, it's 9:10. We smashed it. We've gone an hour. We've given 10 minutes of added time this evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Free podcast.
FOC, free of charge.
And I still, before we leave, I would just want to one more time. Just 50 more minutes until the transfer window officially closes. But if I was you, I would wake up on Friday in your LA Galaxy pajamas with your LA Galaxy scarf around, and absolutely 100% would come in there.
My socks. I'll wake up in my LA Galaxy socks.
Yeah, and Panda Legacy, by the way, says, fine, Josh, I'll turn the page on Cabral for now. Greetings from Guadalajara. We appreciate the super chat. Thank you very much for that, and greetings to you straight back. And I love that we get people listening from around the world. That's like my favorite part. This is so cool.
I love it. Perfect.
So cool. By the way, before we completely go, I ran into one of our listeners at the game on Wednesday night. I took a picture. It was him and his daughter, and I forget his name, and I'm horrible with names, so that doesn't surprise. I barely remember Sophie's name, except that like I have it written down over here too. And so when you look at, and he was there, and so he was telling me, I'm like, well, how long have you been listening? Because I keep trying to find the person who's like, oh man, I've been listening since 2009, since you guys first started, and he's the closest I've gotten. He said he started listening probably right around 2010. I'm like, we were young when you started listening, and he was like, we were, and I was like, yep, absolutely, 100%.
So he's what you'd call an OG? Is that what the kids are calling it these days?
I wouldn't know. I'm not cool enough. You're the cool kid in here. I would absolutely. By the way, Jose wants to remind everybody it's Jamaica Independence Day festivities in the Lars tailgate starting at noon on Sunday. Lars' own Bixby on the ones and twos with the reggae tunes. So you're going to want to be there as well. So
love it.
Yeah. So much fun. So much fun. And I'm so glad everybody's here. I'm so glad that we could share another Thursday night, another transfer deadline day. That's just, I don't know. We normally don't get to line up with that. There we go. Transfer deadline day. All right.
There's the alarming alarm, everyone.
Right, the water's coming in. It's time to defect. It's time. I wanted to do my Sean Connery thing, but
Let's hear it.
I don't want to do it now.
Come
no,
on.
There's too much pressure on it. It was like
do the line from The Untouchables.
No. I want to do my favorite. Sean Connery was not Sean Connery. It was I forget who was doing Sean Connery whenever he was talking to Alex Trebek on Saturday Night Live. You're the day, Trebek. That was it. That's as good as it goes. All right. Are we good? We're good. All right.
We're great. We're fantastic, Josh. We're absolutely
the
ready.
rest of the show talking.
You are one of the
Connery.
finest podcast hosts that I've ever met. Let me tell you.
That almost sounds
your podcasting is as good as my 007.
Oh my goodness! Wow, I'm getting goosebumps over here. All right, Sophie, tell people where they can find you. Let's go.
At Highbury Squad, at Soccer Diva. Give us a follow. Tune in if you like Premier League and all sorts of stuff on football. So yes, that's me. Thanks for having me again. You guys rock. Love you.
Love you, Soph. All right, if you're looking for me on Twitter, it's at Guesman, JGUESMAN, and of course at Galaxy Podcast. Head on over, cornerofthegalaxy.com, videos, articles, all that fun stuff. Larry has a good recap with Jonathan Bond up there. You're going to want to check that out. Updates on Joveljić as we signed there as well. So a whole bunch of stuff. We'll see everybody out at the game on Sunday. LA Galaxy versus Vancouver Whitecaps, 5 p.m., 5:08 p.m. kickoff time. Spectrum Sportsnet will see you out at the stadium. For Sophie, Dejan, Nicolaou, Josh, Pato Guesman, you've been listening. You've been watching to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com. Have a great one, everybody.
You've been listening to the Corner of the Galaxy podcast on cornerofthegalaxy.com. You can follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Galaxy Podcast. And be sure to check out and subscribe to iTunes, Stitcher, and Facebook by searching for Corner of the Galaxy. Fans, we thank you for listening, and we ask that you be kind and courteous to your neighbors as you leave the podcast. We thank you for joining us and look forward to seeing you again. Until then, I'm Michael Araujo, and on behalf of the entire Corner of the Galaxy crew, goodbye, everybody.